An old Zen story goes like this. A young monk was traveling through the mountains at night, wrapped in thick mist and the low hum of pine trees. He hurried toward the temple, for word had reached him that a tiger had been seen in the valley below. Halfway through the trail, he suddenly felt a heavy breath behind him. His spine turned cold. He broke into a run, his legs burning, until his breath gave out and he collapsed beneath an ancient pine. Moonlight poured down. He turned his head. There was nothing. Only the wind, moving shadows among the trees. Yet after that night, he never again dared to walk alone after dark. The tiger was never there. But fear had already built a prison inside him. Have you noticed how often in life you are just like that monk? You are not running from an actual danger. You are running from an imagined one. You fear a future that has not arrived, regret a past that has already gone. And the present, the only real moment there is abandoned like a forgotten home. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, does fear even know the way? Can it truly find the door to now? Or does it only live in the shadows of the past and the illusions of the future? The old Zen masters often said, if the mind does not dwell in the present, it wanders endlessly. But are you living today? Or are you living inside the thought, yesterday could have been better, or tomorrow might be worse? If fear cannot enter the present moment, could it be that the present is the true home of the soul? And if so, why do you keep exiling yourself from it? You might argue, but I'm anxious right now. Isn't that the present? Yet have you considered that anxiety itself is you secretly standing at the door of the future peeking in? Your mind is not here. It's desperately calculating things that haven't happened yet. So here is the real question. If fear never belongs to the present, why do we live as if we are its tenants? If the present is a safe home, why do we keep running away from it? Think about this, and you'll realize this isn't about simple emotional management. It's a question that could overturn every assumption you've ever had about life. Because once you understand that fear knows no path here, you'll have to ask yourself, have you truly been living or just running? Why can fear never find the path to the present? To answer that, you must first face a brutal truth. Your brain is, by nature, a prediction machine. Freud once said that many inner conflicts stem from the unconscious mind's obsession with survival. Since the dawn of time, your brain has been programmed to scan for threats, because in the jungle, it was better to mistake 100 harmless rustles for danger than to overlook the single approach of a predator. This instinct helped our ancestors survive, but it also turned us into prisoners of illusions. Carl Jung would tell you that this fear has long been woven into the collective unconscious, hidden deep within the cultural symbols and stories we inherit. From dragons in fairy tales to crisis alerts in the news, society keeps reminding you, danger could strike at any moment. And so, your inner gaze is constantly pulled toward a time that hasn't yet arrived. Nietzsche would put it more bluntly, fear is the weakness of the will, a condition of being enslaved by the future. Once you let fear drag you away, you lose sovereignty over the present moment. And the Zen masters, they would put it more simply, if the mind is not here, it is in exile. This is not poetry, it's a diagnosis. Think about it. When was the last time you were fully immersed in a moment, without thinking of yesterday, without predicting tomorrow? Perhaps it was when you watched a sunset and your thoughts became still as water, or when you embraced someone and the world narrowed to nothing but the sound of a heartbeat. In that moment, you weren't fighting fear, because fear could not find you. But here's the problem. Our society doesn't reward this kind of being without striving. Schools teach you to plan for the future, workplaces demand risk forecasts, and the media delivers a constant countdown to the next crisis. We are trained to live in the next minute, never in this one. Kafka once wrote, "You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. You do not even need to listen. Simply wait. The world will freely offer itself to you." And yet modern people can hardly do it, because the moment they become still, they hear the storm inside their own mind. Not the tiger outside, but the endless what-ifs within. So why does fear not know the way? Because the present is empty, and fear needs the illusion of time in order to survive. It will never find you here, unless you open the door yourself and invite it in. And that is the deeper root you must first see. Fear is not an external enemy, but an invisible chain linking you to the future. Fear may not know the way, yet time and again, we act as its guide. You may not realize it, but this act of leading fear by the hand is quietly altering the course of your destiny. From a neuroscience perspective, the amygdala in your brain functions as fear's alarm system. Every time you dwell on things that might go wrong, it's as if you're pressing the panic button repeatedly, forcing your entire body into fight-or-flight mode. Over time, your nervous system becomes hypersensitive, so much so that even the faintest rustle of wind can trigger an overreaction. Psychologists tell us that this long-term state of high alert robs you of the ability to truly experience life. Because you're not actually living, you're scanning for threats. Your attention has been hijacked. The details of the present fade into a blurry background. Flowers bloom without you noticing. Sunlight falls on your hands without you feeling it. Someone smiles at you, and you suspect there's a hidden motive behind it. Culturally, our society is fertile ground for fear. The media thrives on crisis to generate clicks. Workplaces use anxiety to drive productivity. Even families often disguise worry as love, asking, "But what if you fail?" As a result, we grow accustomed to planning everything around fear, like stockpiling food for a war that will never come. And what's the result? Your life stops being driven by dreams and starts being pulled by fear. You no longer move toward what you desire, you merely try to avoid what you don't. You aren't walking toward a vision, you're running from an illusion. The more insidious danger is that this avoidance mode replicates itself. Every time you hand your attention over to fear, your brain interprets it as the correct way to survive. It strengthens the neural pathway, making you more prone in the future to being dragged back into the prison of fear by the same triggers. Eventually, you may not even know whether you're acting out of passion or just running because you're afraid. There's a Zen saying, "If a person moves with the world, they will be pulled by all things." When fear is pulling your strings, you have already lost the autonomy to choose your direction in life. You think you're making decisions, but in truth, you're simply being pushed toward a danger you've never actually confirmed exists. And so, the unseen consequence is this. Fear doesn't just steal your present, it robs you of your future freedom. And most people won't realize the cost until the end of their lives. By then, there will be little time left to reclaim it. The prison of fear is not built with chains, but with time. It drags your attention into the past or hurls it toward the future, making you forget that the present moment is the only reality there is. To break free, you don't need a stronger weapon. You need an entirely new map. A map that leads you home. Method 1. Practice present awareness instead of controlling fear. Most people's first reaction to fear is to try to drive it away. But Zen will tell you, the more you try to exile it, the stronger it becomes. Your resistance itself is proof of its existence. When fear arises, don't ask, "How do I get rid of it?" Instead ask, "Where am I right now?" Notice your breath, the sensation of your feet touching the ground, the sounds around you. When you return to your body in this exact moment, fear loses its grip on you. Method 2. Use sensory anchors to break the script. Your brain loves to interpret events through familiar scripts. That's why similar situations keep triggering the same fear responses. You can prepare a sensory anchor, a photo, a piece of music, a particular scent. Whenever fear appears, deliberately interact with that anchor to remind yourself, "I am here, in this moment, not in that past, not in that imagined future." Method 3. Reverse the direction of what if. Fear loves to speak in the language of what if, and we usually apply it to the worst outcomes. Try reversing it. What if tomorrow is better? Or what if this is a gift in disguise? This isn't naive optimism. It's reclaiming your brain's right to write the script of the future, turning it into one that supports your movement instead of freezing it. Method 4. Create action rituals for the present. Many historical figures stayed clear-headed in hardship because they had personal rituals. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius began each morning by writing down what he could control and what he could not. You can design your own. Before stepping out each day, tell yourself, "Today, I will not get lost in places I haven't yet reached." These small promises, repeated daily, take root in your subconscious over time. Method 5. Use action to generate a force. Greater than fear. Fear thrives in stillness. Action is its natural enemy. Einstein once said, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." The action doesn't have to be grand. It can be small. Reply to that email you've been avoiding. Start the project you've been too anxious to begin. Each action tells your brain, "I choose the present over the illusion of fear." Throughout history, those who changed the course of their lives didn't do so because they had no fear, but because they discovered, fear cannot survive in the present moment. When Gandhi faced the vast machinery of colonial power, he didn't dwell on whether he would fail in 10 years. He focused on the step I can take today. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." When you begin to apply these 5 methods, you'll notice fear hasn't really left. It just can't find its way back to you. And you have finally come home. You may have already realized this. All fear shares a common trait. It cannot breathe in the now. Fear survives only in the gaps of time. It needs an unreal future or a vanished past to keep its shape. The moment you fall completely into the present, it dissolves like mist. A Zen patriarch once said, "Without thinking of good or evil, in this very moment, what is your original face?" This is not a poetic riddle. It is a key. When your mind is no longer dragged into judgment and evaluation, no longer pulled by should and if, you see that everything has already been placed, complete, in this moment. Our entire life, in truth, has only one real coordinate, this moment. All plans, dreams, fears, and regrets are simply deviations from this point. You think you are chasing safety, but in fact, you are fleeing the only place that can give you safety. You think fear is the enemy, but it is merely a signpost, pointing to the places where you have lost awareness. Imagine this. You walk along a mountain path shrouded in mist. You can see nothing ahead. Fear whispers in your ear, "There is a cliff ahead. You will fall. You will be hurt." But then you look down, and you see the ground beneath your feet, solid and unmoving. It does not crumble. It does not collapse. In that moment, you understand. The real path is not in the fog, not in the whispers. It is right where your foot meets the earth. On the last night under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha did not battle armies of flesh and blood. He faced the illusions of his own mind. Each arrow shot at him, once entering the field of his awareness, turned into a falling flower. You too have this power, not to destroy fear, but to see through it. And once you see through it, it has nowhere to stand. The now is home for the soul, because it is the only existence that requires no conditions. Fear knows no path here, because in this place, it has no map. Its maps are drawn only with the shadows of the future and the ghosts of the past, and the present moment is a land it has never walked upon. You will discover that the deepest freedom in life is not to have all the answers, but to stand in the place where there are no answers, and still be at ease. Only then have you truly returned home, not to a location, but to the space between each breath. And you will finally understand, going home was never about traveling somewhere far away, but about stopping the act of leaving this moment.